This is episode 12 of the BTS Creative Academy Podcast, Imposters, in conversation with Jonathan Chinsky. Chinsk. Good morning. Hello. Test. Can you hear yourself?
I can't hear you on the headphones.
No, you won't hear me on the headphones, but you'll be able to hear
Yeah, I can.
hear your own voice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually ordered I've ordered an amplifier to improve the sound quality.
Right.
And just improve the setup in general. Should come today. We've got £200, but I thought I'm doing this now, so let's start investing.
I think it's what you should pursue.
Yeah, like it's the proper amplifier for doing this. Two mics set up into the laptop. Okay, well, I'll start with a clap to sync the audio and the... Oh, you're joining me? Oh, thank you. No, please do join me.
I thought the other things were there to do it.
Yeah, no, we'll do this together. So this will sync the audio and the mics. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Do you think that was one clap?
I think so.
I think that was one clap. So we shall begin.
Okay.
Welcome to the Creative Academy Podcast, Jonathan. Am I referring to you as Jonathan in this professional environment, or
I think,
Chinsky?
I think call me Chinsky because I think that's how I've been known in these circles.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. I was had it raised an eyebrow at me because I don't class myself as a creative in that sense, but I think behind the scenes side of things probably would be my lead in to this world of creative, where I've spent a lot of time with people. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe through this conversation we might discover how you are a creative.
Yeah, I think everyone's got an element of that's. Just looking at, because obviously I think this is probably like the 9th or 10th one of these you've done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're on 9 or 10.
And so, and looking at the others, and some of them are people who you probably more readily recognise as creatives.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't, I see myself as someone within that sphere who supports those people, mainly around theatre. I know some of them have got other strings to the bows and things like that, but for me, my outlet has always been theatre since an early age. So
Yeah. Well, let's start with trying to get to the bottom of that, and so. Where are we now? What are you up to right now within your life in general?
Life at the moment, I've got my daughters, etc., are doing lots of things. I tend to be doing a lot of dad stuff, running about.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are doing some creative stuff as well, particularly my oldest daughter, who's doing a lot of things with film and acting and singing. And with various organisations that are recognisable prior to going to uni, so I'm supporting that. For me,
is she studying at the moment?
Yeah, she's in A-levels, but not studying drama and things. But she's also in National Youth Theatre. I think she's been an ambassador for them as well, and she's done some things with the BFI. And so she's done a couple of films and things like that.
Are these independent films?
Yeah, well, these are ones been sponsored by British Film Institute or people who have contacted people through that. She appeared in a film that's won a few awards, actually, looking at an indie film called and I'll get that. I always get the name wrong. Veronan Women or something it's called, and it won a few things in various film circles. So I'm always running them about to do that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And both of them are doing Lambda. But for myself, I'm just getting on with life normally. One of the main things, obviously, I can't clarify is this building here.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm probably less involved than, say, you, the chairman of the HPAA, and some of the others, I think since I've been supporting as part of the committee, trustee since about 2016.
Yeah, she's been maybe even longer than that.
I think it might be longer than that, but I was looking back from my emails to see when I first had some minutes coming in, and how long I've been. But I've been involved with the building since we turned it into a theatre back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how long I've been on the committee. I think when we met and stuff. So
yeah, do you know what? You're one of those people that I'm not sure where I met you. But now you seem to be quite heavily involved in my life, and
I mean,
we're good friends. I don't know where that started.
I think when I joined the committee, when I think Simon approached me and Jared seconded me to join, and I was like co-opted onto the committee for Victoria Hall Theatre. We became friends pretty straight away, and we've been quite close friends since. It's one of those things that you're introduced to someone who you're already friends with almost. Do you know what I mean?
So, yes, yeah.
And I think with theatre, and I don't want to go jumping into anything, but with theatre, I found that the friendships and relationships I've made have been a real constant, a big part of my life. Going on all those different journeys with people, do the show with them, or just helping out here and there. If I was sort of going back through my life, that it was clear that there's so much influence and with my people, the connections and I've made through working in local theatre.
So with yourself, you're not someone that pursues acting. You're not someone that pursues dancing around on the stage.
I was 15 when I joined a youth theatre company in Harlow.
And was that the beginning?
That was the beginning. I never liked drama or anything like that at school.
No.
I didn't even. I was probably had quite a negative view of the arts, etc. I didn't understand. I think as a 15, but a couple of teachers one from Passmores and one from Stewards in Harlow, a chap called Michael Jackson, and the Fulton Nature.
Sorry, did we say Michael Jackson?
Yeah. Well, for us, he was the Michael Jackson. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Force of Nature, which was known as UNCUT, set up Stage Directions, which is the youth theatre company from the two schools, Passmores and Stewards, and that was been going a couple of years. And one of my teachers, Howard Young, he was one of the guys who was running it on a weekly basis at the time, and one of the girls in my class said to him she wanted to join, and I thought I would like to join as well, mainly because that girl had asked him to join, and she lasted about 6 weeks, and that's 35 years later I'm still involved in theatre, and it's been a massive part of my life, and some of the most of the best friendships and things like that, and the best experiences I've had have been working within theatre, and been made with working on a particular show.
Why do you think that is?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think I think it takes a certain sort of person to want to be able to put a show on, not for whether they're actually out front as an actor or I'd say just doing it. It's really important. They're doing props or they just help out. I think you enter into a team spirit often, especially on the best ones you do, and there's so much involved that you end up as a little tribe really during that run of that rehearsals, and then into technicals, and then into the show week, etc. And I think you just find good people. I think in theatre, especially that's been my experience over the years. I've got some like ourselves and other friends I've got. I can't really pinpoint the time that you made that friendship, but when you in a lot of the other cases you could go back and say we were on that show together, they were on that show together, and that's one of the things I like about local theatre is when you do shows, it's almost like it's a different team every time. The experience is almost different every time, and you're sort of on that journey together, whatever role you have, and I see this all the time, that those connections and those relationships are always there after that, and you always remember that particular group of combination. It's very unlikely you do with exactly that group again,
I sometimes see each production as a machine, a different machine, and they work in different ways.
Well, I always So I talk about it as a journey almost, you know, from the bit that I used to do a lot of backstage stuff, as you know. So traditionally, before where my life is now, I'd do a lot of stage management stuff, or run the book on the show and things like that, but also be involved in all the other elements technically and production wise.
So you tend to come into these productions as a stage manager or backstage hand. Or...
Yeah. I tend to be. And if one of the directors is one of my closer friends, I might be involved in just talking through what the plans are early on, you know, and I've got some great relationships there, and so I've never claimed to be the originator, but I'm good at mitigating for things that might need to keeping them on track.
Yeah, I'm not sure sometimes what job role I'd class you as when I come to you when I'm doing the production. I might come to you and go, I've got this problem.
Yeah,
and we'll have a discussion around the problem, and we'll often come up with a solution through. I
see myself as a facilitator around
a problems facilitator.
Yeah, I mean, in my job and the work, I'm a project manager.
Right. Okay. And, so a project manager
is my work, and so I'm always looking at what could go wrong, what we could do to make it right, what we could do to prevent it going wrong. Yeah.
What does that entail, being a project manager within work?
So mainly, you normally get a brief of the project that something needs to be done. It's then up to me to assemble the team, organise the team and run the budget and run a project plan and set dates for things, and literally at the most granular level list out every task that needs to be done and when it needs to be done by. And I do see how that's got some synergies with a production in theatre. Very much so, because obviously my projects are, we go live, I hand it over to the business afterwards and it becomes business as usual. Obviously with theatre, it finishes then. So the project is just get you through the show week or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the things I bring to the shows that I've worked on, especially over the years when I was really heavily involved. I bring a level of a really safe pair of hands supporting a director. Because one of the things I don't think people realise is, and the credit I want to give to people who put on a show, who've got a vision, and I want to support that. It's such a big undertaking. It's not just hire the venue, get some costumes, and get a cast. I mean, that's enough. That's a lot as it is. Mm. There's every little nuance about making that show work, about who have you got to do lighting? Have you had those discussions of the lighting? On the set, who's doing the set for you? What sort of set is it going to be? How much work and time does it need? One of the things I would say to someone who wants to put on a show, and I know this is quite close to your heart, is about how much work is involved in just getting the set up on the stage, for instance. Mm-hmm. Every piece of wood that's been put in the set has probably been moved 5 times, and 6 other pieces of wood or flats have had to be moved twice around that.
There's a lot of logistics that you don't always...
Absolutely.
Because I think when you're putting on a show, you come up with a vision and an idea of how that's all going to come together, and you do your best at planning that on paper. But when you come to the stage and you come to put all that vision together and you come to put all that plans together, there'll inevitably be some areas that don't quite gel.
Yeah. And
you have to figure out, oh dear, how does this now gel? And then when you figure out that problem, it often causes some other problem.
That's one of the things I like to do to help a director. Is one of my roles that I see is, the director said the vision for the set designers, if they've got one, has measured it out. But then we talk, and the director will often discover they've got to make changes to what they've planned and what they've rehearsed, because there isn't there's not enough access. At one point, you've got too many people trying to go off at the same time. That sort of things that don't often come up until you've actually got a set on stage and things like that. So there's lots of different little things that have to be considered, and I'm just looking at the set and stuff at the moment, but the undertaking, just getting programs done, getting posters done, what's your advertising, like scheduling rehearsals, making sure you've got everything booked, what have you got technically, what are you hiring and what you're not. Obviously you lean on someone to do the lighting and that side of things, but and sound, But so many of the tasks, so many of the little jobs just come back down to the director, in my experience, a local theatre, or if they've got a small team. And that's something I don't think people outside of this sphere realise. Yeah? So I'm always full of admiration for someone who has a vision and then puts a show on and actually gets that show up and running. That to me is a really big project. And you've not even touched on the artistic content and how good it is and the personalities of the actors and anything else. So for me, I'm always full of admiration for people who have managed to put on a show and want to achieve that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the skills and experiences to share that I know it's something that you're looking at the moment.
Yes.
Because you've done quite a lot of that. So I just think we talk about the creative element, and obviously this Creative Academy. There's a lot to learn if you want to put on a show. It's great if you can get a bit of a fast track into that and understand and work with people who've done it before.
Yeah, there's not just one element to putting on a theatre production, is there? There's not just, I've just got a vision and I'm going to throw a few people on the stage and it's going to work.
No, I think over the years I've observed a handful of shows where they didn't have that level of support or vision of what they would need, and struggled as a result.
Yeah.
So in order to create in order to create that show and that theatre experience, so much planning, so much thought has to go into every element of it.
Yeah. And you need to bring a team together.
I think
it's often some of us creative people would like to think we can do it all alone.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things where back in the old days where I used to pretty much do every show that was on here, stage manager, etc. Go from show to show to show, and I was doing stuff at the Playhouse as well, and it was went around things. And one of the first things that a director would say is when they came to you, can you help stage manager show, whatever. My first thing is, who have we got in the crew? Who's your team? Mm-hmm. Because not that I wouldn't do it, but the fact that they need to have, it's not just a director, a production manager, and a stage manager. It's a much deeper team than that. And any director who thinks they can do it all themselves is taking on a bigger undertaking. It's a bigger undertaking than I think that they've got.
It's not always thinking that they want to take it all, because it does happen often.
Yeah.
It's not always often they want other people involved, but they struggle to let go of the vision.
Yeah. To a point, I think that's one of the challenges of, and the skills they need to have as a director. Or I've worked with directors who just wanted to direct the show and didn't want to do anything else.
Yes, and that's something.
And that can be a problem, because then you're not bringing their vision to all the other elements, which I think is really important.
Yeah, so that's a good question. It almost raises that question: is what is directing a show?
Yeah.
What is being a director?
Which is a question I can't fully answer, but I can tell you the bits that don't happen.
Okay.
So in the sense of, it's one of those lonely jobs, because I think metaphorically put their name above the door, in the sense of how the set looks, how the costume looks, how the lighting looks, how the sound is mixed, the props, all the things that you visually see or experience should have input from the director to make it, in my view, to make it build up their vision. You can't just be directing the actors and to do the show. Even down to the marketing and stuff like that, I feel like it needs that view. Otherwise, someone will make a decision that isn't part of the It'll always say, for instance, it'll say whatever show directed by Martin Colton or whatever, and so your name's associated with it. You really want that to be your view of how that should look. I say my role was always normally just to always been just as someone to help be part of that team to make it happen. And what I will say is I think I've always been a really good, especially over the years, voice on their shoulder or word in their ear to help keep things on track.
It would be have you thought of this, Martin? Kind of voice that I'll get from you.
Yeah.
You'll see something from it. Whilst creative is in there within their imagination and within the space that they're working in, you can often forget an element of the real world that might be very, very important to the production.
Often I would say bring a level of pragmatism as well, but also, as I think you talk about the solution side of things. How do we do that we wanted to do, or that you wanted to do? Mm-hmm. How do we make that happen?
Yeah.
And sometimes I come along here and I'm pretty amazed that you've done something quite simple and how effective it is. I think I'm probably more involved in the things when often if it's mechanical as well or that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm on myself as a set designer, but I've worked on loads of sets and improvised where we had to, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's all to create that vision.
Yes, yeah. So tell me about the other ways that you support the theatrical community.
So over the years, I'm 50 now, and I've been doing this since I was 15 in this area. I've done hundreds of shows, basically. I've done hundreds of shows. And I used to be literally doing this all the time, going from show to show to show, especially because the commitment for me isn't as long a period as the actors, etc., who've got to do 8 weeks of rehearsing, etc. Every couple of weeks I could jump to the next show, or have been doing it in the background. But when we first opened, going back to, what was it, 93 or whatever, when the Playhouse closed, there was a lot of us who were literally, would be hanging out at the Playhouse all the time. We did shows all the time there. It was our, was it alma mater? Is that the right word? And then when the Playhouse closed, I think in 93, and one team of the community, the theatre community in Harlow, found this venue, and they began converting it. It was called the Victoria Hall Longman Theatre in those days. I think we got a grant from Longman to a part of Pearson Education to help convert it. And it was a very different building internally than it's like now. I've been, from someone who never liked drama as a kid, incredibly passionate about that. We've got a facility for local theatre to happen, and that local theatre does happen in the town. Because for me, without these creative outlets, etc., without what have you got? Just a load of housing estates, some shops. But
why is that important?
I don't know the answers, Martin, on this, but I think through my experiences and through the joy and the thought-provoking stuff I've seen, I think having character in a town, in an area, and I think through people putting on shows of different types, whatever, and creating a theatre community, it gives. It's just like the icing on the cake or whatever. It's without having a building like this, where young and old alike can come to put on shows and or be part of a show, or even if they're just technically helping out backstage. I think I can't put enough stock in how valuable that is to the community. I'm at a loss for words really to sort of express how much a big impact on my life it's been, and the value it's given, and that's why I wanted both of my children to have that opportunity. If they wanted it, if they didn't want it, they can.
I think you kind of touched on that value with one word there. You said joy.
Oh, I mean, I always used to sort of talk about a show would often finish on a Saturday night, and there'll be always that you're exhausted. There's a relief. You've got through all the shows and they've gone right, and then there's also a level of sadness because that particular journey with that team is pretty much over. But the joy, I think, of theatre, that so many people come together to create and share with the community. I think I absolutely love working on a show, and I love it when a lighting cue and sound cue go well together.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
that magical moment where it gels.
For me, and this is probably another element to what some of the other guys would tell you on their interviews and that you've looked at, is for me when I'm running the book or say stage managing, and the show starts, you know, you give beginners, you do the intro music, etc., and you're on that roller coaster then, and it feels like you're on that car going click, 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 going up to the thing there. It's going now. It's not stopping. Yeah. It's on its way, and now you've just got to knuckle down, hope you've got everything right, and ride it through because
it is a ride, isn't it?
The momentum is there.
It's a period of time that's different to all other time, because once you hear that call or give that call beginners to stage, every part of that, I'll go back to that machine, starts moving, all the clogs start turning, and
I mean, it's almost like this page, the script is inevitable. It's coming. Yeah, are you ready for it? Have you thought about everything? Have you listened to? Have you worked with the director and the cast and everything? And do you know? I mean, some technical guys would literally just run the book, you know. But for me, it's almost like, you know, has Jodie walked over to the left there, so I can change my light from that side to that side now. I know I've got a 7-second fade up on the music as well, and I want it to be at that level by then. And I think a lot of directors will have a time when the cue goes, but for me, when I run the book, I want those things to feel right, you know. And I feel like maybe
not that you're following a list of instructions within a
script. It's not just click, 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 which it can be, you know, for some. But for me, it was much more a case of, you know, the music and the lights hit the right point at the right time, with the actor hitting that point of the stage, or get to that line. When
I've stage managed, I've always seen having my script there as a checklist rather than a to-do list.
I think, I think it's a checklist, isn't it? But I feel there's like an art of making it happen at the right time. It's not just when they say that word, I press this button.
Yes.
There's more to it than that.
Well, you can't just turn up as a stage manager. You can't just be like, oh, the machine, you know, the show's already going, the machine's already going, the clock's already turning.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here to just make sure it's all happening. No, you need to be part of that.
It's strange because is a school of thought you could just turn up and run the book. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's written up right, I don't think you'll get the value and you'll get it done, but I don't think you'll get the you can't. There's a lot of people in a show who work really hard to provide a character, to realise the director's dream, you know, to bring that character to life. And then technically you can ruin that really quickly by, you know, I think my first ever show, I think where I was sort of, you know, sat at the desk running things. And it was a very lightweight show as far as technically it was the Duchess of Malfi. It was here. I'm talking sometime in the mid-90s, and I mistook a standby for a cue in the book.
So for those that don't know, a standby is essentially.
So in the book, which is basically a copy of the script but with instructions on it. Yeah, often you'll put a standby in, which you then would recognise with your crew. So you would give them a standby, so standby LX24, and then the person who's running lights would say, stood by, so that you know they're ready for it. And the same for sound, etc. And normally lights always goes before sound in when you talk about it, but that's my experience. But sometimes you have to work with that because of the nature and the complexity of the show. Sometimes the music has to come in earlier, and then you'd have to and there's a level of build and things like that which aren't always scripted, in those instructions. So you know you keep it at a level where the actor's still talking about over it, and then as they get to a certain point you could build and the lights start to change or something like that. So but I remember the Duchess of Malfi, I mistook the standby to as the cue, the lighting cue, and I plunged the stage into darkness, and it was an instant blackout as well, right in the most important and powerful speech in the middle of the, the Duchess had just died.
I bet the actors weren't too pleased, were they?
And it was one of these things in slow motion where
like,
I was like, you had to get it back to bring the lights back up. I realised what I'd done.
Yeah.
That was my first ever stage managing sort of role, because I was actually doing the lights as well, because it was such a light show from a new technical perspective. It was quite. I just remember hitting those buttons, trying to get it back to the previous cue and get it in. And I think the desk at the time with the dial, you could fast forward the build for the lights, sort of thing.
So even having errors like that, you still continue to pursue doing theatre, because something like that's quite big and can be quite upsetting, can't it, in the moment?
I can still see it right now. But we're talking something from
20 years ago.
More.
More.
It was probably about 1996 or something like that. No, probably before that, 93, 94. And so it's still in my mind.
So it had an impact on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think nearly every show you take away something. But I haven't done that again.
Yeah. Well, you learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. And the director didn't give me a hard time.
No.
It was,
I guess that's quite important, isn't it? Going back to the role of the director within this, is how because these errors are inevitable and they do happen. It's impossible to go through a run without one.
I mean, I like to
professional and amateur.
I like to think, once you've got it, I'm a safe pair of hands. Yeah, and that's pretty much me. As far as everything's going to happen correctly. Now let's see if we can make it even better.
Yes.
Because as I was saying before, an actor can be working really hard on the speech they've done, but if you bring in the music a bit too soon, a bit too loud, especially sound, you can't hide from sound, if that makes sense.
No.
It's invasive. Lights often have got a fade on them and things, so while they create an ambience and they, obviously put into blackout a bit different, but generally a lighting change, you can see it's happening, and you can move back, you can reverse it quite, if you can. So I'd say sound is sometimes one that I think you asked me to help out on sound at Christmas when we did the Christmas show for a few days.
Yes.
And I stepped in to take over from Will, who wasn't available for a few days. And you told me it was just a couple of mics and a few sound cues. There was sound running throughout the whole show. It never actually stopped. And there was 16 mics and 20 people, and I had to alternate. And I had to sort of pick it up.
That was one that you did just come into, and you had to pick up on the fly, because it was a situation that you were needed. The support was required, or the show wouldn't continue.
And it was a bit more challenging than I thought it was going to be. By the time I'd seen it a couple of times, it was okay, but there was a show that, because I think for the ambience that you wanted to create for that show, you had music running throughout. Literally, it never stopped. Almost, there was some very short periods where there wasn't a music in the background of some sort. Is that how it felt to you when you did that? Because I know obviously you chose all the tracks.
That was the idea, to have this continuous ambience throughout the production. And
that's very much like TV and things. You don't even realise how much music and how many not sound effects, but how it runs throughout, trying to steer the feeling.
Yes.
For the viewer, for the theatre goer, for the audience. And I'm always really aware of that. That's why I always feel it's not just a button push. Yeah,
for me it was a production that if there was the budget for an orchestra, there would have been one.
Absolutely, yeah.
That particular production lent itself, I felt, to having that ambience throughout, and the change in music, because it was the Lion Witch in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
And they went from the real world to this magical world.
And the magic is the key bit there, and a lot of that is you've got many tools to try to create that magic,
yeah.
and one of them is music, and which is another obviously creative thing that I can't do.
And I can still feel that. Do you know what? Going back to that show, I can sit here now and reminisce about that show and the magic of entering into Narnia.
Yeah.
And the sound, how that carried that as the main character walked through the wardrobe and out into the magical world. How that music built.
You need,
and
I mean, you as a director, that moment, it's got to be really impactful. You've got to make everyone in the auditorium feel that as they move, and they're suddenly in the forest of Narnia with the lamppost. You know, so that's got to be significant.
Yes, yeah.
No, it's weird because I was trying to think about my first shows here at this theatre when we as a community created it, etc. And I wasn't involved in the first show here. And then I think the next thing we did was a panto. We did a panto on the stage. We don't normally do. We don't. So since we've never really done pantos here because we wanted to go for a different angle than what's available at all the other theatres, and we never wanted to tread on the toes of the
Yeah, I think this theatre that we're sat in today, the Victoria Hall Theatre, is quite a unique theatre.
Yeah.
In a unique position. There's not many places quite like this, and I'm not just saying that because it's ours and it's the place that we do stuff.
I feel we're as part of members of the trustee. I know you're the chairman of the HPAA, aren't you? But I take my role in that as we're the custodians, we're the guardians of theatre in this part of this little bit of theatre in town, and I think this theatre's just won an award, hasn't it?
Yes.
Being little gems of Harlow, and I've always felt that way about it, you know.
I like that way you referred to it, and I've never thought of it like that, but I've treated it like in this way, that the guardian of the theatre.
That's exactly how I've always felt. We're here to make sure that this place is here for others
to use,
to experience, or to use it, or even as a member of theatre go community or someone who is coming to a show for the first time. One of the jobs that I'm very passionate about is the fact that this place is here, and we do a good job of trying to keep it. It's a good facility. It's a lovely space. Look, I'm happy to work in other theatres and things, but when we had that risk to not having a theatre, a place, a space for people to do this, I never want to have to feel that our community is staring down that barrel again, and that the things that we do is all about keeping this place here and allowing for that joy, for that creates the potential for those great moments and journeys and experiences.
Yeah. No, this place really does build and bring the community together, doesn't it?
It really, really does. I did a one-act play. I think it was called the All England one-act play festival.
Okay.
With our good friend Simon and Caroline, etc. And a play called Housebound that he'd written. And we basically had to go to other theatres and put that show on that day. And that was a fantastic experience for me, to go into a completely different theatre, try and get a handle on the desks and the stage, and help with the set design and get the set up and running, which we won an award for the set, which is crazy because everyone else come along with these, they almost seemed to be like that one-act plays was their thing, and they came along with these amazing sets that bolted together in seconds, and we did it our normal way, which is like me lumping these heavy armchairs onto the stage, etc., whereas the others didn't. But as it was, we ended up winning the award for the set.
Wow.
Where and we got a trophy for it, whereas we were mainly blown away by some of the sets of these other shows, other plays where it was all sets quite elaborate ones with balconies and things just bolted together in minutes. There's almost like a whole art to that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, going to other theatres, and I don't know what it is. I think so. While this is a unique setup and building, I did feel that I have got a love for theatres. You know, and I don't know if you probably feel the same way. When you go into a theatre, I do feel comfortable there. I feel it's a space that even if it's one I've never been in before, I feel it's a space that's belonging. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And I always think about how that's got the potential for joy and create emotions and all the different things that we value.
Yeah, there's something in the buildings, isn't there, that you can put. You know that you can bring a group of other humans together with like-minded interests.
It's almost like the buildings absorb the emotion and joy, etc. Because you go into a theatre and for me it feels different.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, often like this place, this is a very old building, and often, occasionally you get people coming in, and it's a bit spooky in here, isn't it? But when I'm in here, even when I'm in here at this building alone, I never feel, it never feels spooky.
It feels
or
our space.
bad.
It's our
Yeah,
space.
yeah, it feels like our home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a safe space.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. It's been while we've, as a committee, we've tried to improve the facility over the years. It's always had that certain feel to it, and I think it's right because it's an older building. Obviously, we've converted to a theatre.
Talking about buildings, changing the subject slightly. I also wanted to talk to you about because I wanted to find out about your creativity. I wanted to talk to you about the other buildings that you run.
What, warehouses?
No, on the seafront.
Oh, the beach huts. So
because they're actually quite creative in.
They are, and
endeavour,
we've done
aren't
a lot
they?
with them actually. I think you probably should talk to Nina if you want to talk the whole marketing, the fluffy side, and the staging of them, etc.
Right. Yes.
Because
But you put a lot of work into the maintenance and repair.
I was there this week doing stuff. Yeah, I got down there. I got some great pictures actually. So it's water on the naze, but I got down there really early on Tuesday morning. And I was there on Monday night as well, doing some maintenance stuff because we've got people hiring the huts throughout the week. And
I bet this must be we're in the summer now, so this must
so
be
we're in
your
summer, so this is the height of season.
Yeah.
So there's no days where I can go and maintain them. Weirdly, this sounds my skill sets of maintaining the huts, the wooden huts, is actually things that I've learned generally from building sets.
Yes, yeah.
So not to say the huts only last for 2 weeks, look good from one, good from one side, but I would say that that's a skill set I've learned through theatre. So I was down there putting some storm doors on, mounting doors. If you've ever mounted a door on a stage, where it's more than what hanging a door, it can be one of the most challenging, time-consuming bits of that. But no, the huts we label them like a boutique huts. They're very we try to make a real ambience and feeling around them. One of our artist friends has decorated one. My daughter's decorated the other one. Another of them, and the one that Sam Thomas has painted for the outside for us. It's basically heavily photographed and things. I actually was on a website the other day, and I was on a Facebook group the other day, and there was a picture of a chap whose profile picture was standing next to my hut, because obviously it made an impression.
So these your huts, you do them up, don't you? They're not just painted one colour or.
Oh no! I mean,
these are
redone
unique designs.
Completely redone and designed and themed, etc. And a lot goes into.
And you make them into cosy little homes, don't you?
Yeah.
They're almost like little summer homes, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, as you had staging sort of thing. Nina spends a lot of time making sure the furnishings and stuff are the right ones, and my job's much more around the building, the hut itself, and the floor, the walls and things, and painting it. Although I remember the year we did our hut called Seahorse, which is the one that's got a lot of artwork on it, heavily photographed by anyone going down Walton, walking the promenade there. I put a total of 8 different coats of paint on that after I'd done all the wood repairs and cleaned all the rust out and things like that, and made it nice. And I was varnishing over the top of the with clear varnish, yacht varnish over the top of the artwork that had gone on the hut. And having spent many days painting the hut, and then Sam came in and did the artwork, people said, "Oh, did you paint this?" So I did. 8 coats of white
in a way.
But a team effort. But obviously, I'm not going to try and claim that artwork. But yeah, the huts are something that we put a lot of passion into for us. We love. My wife has always wanted to be near the sea, and originally we got one hut just for us. And I built a big deck on the front of it, so that we had a real nice place to chill out and hang around. And since then, that seemed to have grown legs, really, with all the different things that happened over the last few years.
Would you call it kind of like a side hustle?
I don't know.
Or is there too much of a?
There's a passion there for it.
There's a love for it, yeah.
We would have a hut anyway.
You've got a love for the place.
The renting them out has only become a thing when COVID came along, and then we started to get back out of lockdown, etc. And suddenly, I lost my job when the Brexit vote came through. And that summer, we had a hut we'd done up for us, and then suddenly needed some income. So, and that's how, it's just called now Ladybird Seascapes came to be, really.
I find it quite amazing how, like you say about using your skills, that maybe that would have never come to pass, that having the beach huts, if you hadn't have had the experience of theatre.
I think they'd be very different. I mean, if you look at the what we've done with them and how we've tried to position them and make them real
the unique
and characterful and things, those, a lot of the, we couldn't do that if I hadn't been doing theatre for years and years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is where got loads of tools and stuff like that from just working on sets and things, and experience of how things work. I couldn't maintain them either.
No, but they're not just another beach hut, is what I'm trying to express.
No, they're definitely, yeah.
They're a theatrical beach hut.
No, they're very much, they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity there.
And like you say about Nina, she does a lot of stuff on social media, and the stuff she does on social media with your daughters as well. That's all quite theatrical, isn't it? The marketing side of stuff.
Yeah, because Nina's skill set was in marketing. I was wondering, another point, maybe she'd want to talk to you as well. Do you know what I mean? Because experiences, but I think actually we've become much more theatrical family without actually being,
necessarily always on the stage. It's even the things that are going on elsewhere in life.
Yeah, very much so.
Theatrical.
But definitely right. Those our beach huts aren't just a shed by the sea. They're much more of a theme. There's much more of a something we've created. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's and so I was there on Monday night, and then Tuesday morning, I got there really early Tuesday morning. I drove down ahead of the traffic, so the sun had been up just for a few minutes. I got some fantastic, couple of great pictures of the sun up on the sea, sort of thing. And that's one of the things we think. This is sort of life, sort of thing. It's just wonderful. When you can see a sunrise, over the sea. It's just magical, sort of thing. It's one of the things that I treat that as one of my
It's
places.
peaceful, isn't it, down there?
Yeah. And the beach was practically empty. There's a couple of joggers and a dog walker, for miles around, sort of thing. Yeah. I really like that side of things. So, and it's funny because every time I'm working on the huts, or because our huts are a bit more involved, let's say, theatrical. I get loads of great comments from people walking past, As I say, people take pictures all the time. So, I think I'm probably going to be looking at redecorating one of them soon. Okay. Just the outside thing. And so I'm probably going to be canvassing some of my contacts in there. I've met through theatre to sort of think about who would be good to do the artwork on it, etc. So.
Oh right, okay.
That's something we do like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's had a knock-on effect from my other experiences.
Mm-hmm. And there's another element of your life that I would like to say that, you know, part of this sitting down here right now is discovering how you're creative. I saw yesterday you were playing D&D.
Yeah.
Now tell me about D&D, how that is part of your life.
I did it when I was a kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When it was a lot more not frowned upon, a lot more socially sort of sidelined sort of thing.
Yeah, I think in the sort of like the 80s, and it started to change a bit in the 90s, geek was a bad word, wasn't it? And
yeah,
that
and
kind of...
actually, I absolutely love it now, you know.
Mm-hmm. Whereas it's very much embraced now, isn't it, to be a creative individual and to have imagination.
Well, literally, we were doing D&D last night, and there was a mixture of age groups around the table. I think I was the second oldest, and my friend Richard was the oldest, and then his kids were playing with us, and his kids are at university or working, you know. So, and I've got friends in the early 20s who are really good friends of mine, who I was chatting to my friend Harry last night through that, and I would say that creation, that well, I say it's creative, but that imagination for those characters and things. On top of all that, we just have a really good laugh.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of actual gameplay we did over the session was probably not that much compared to how many jokes and much laughter we had out of it.
Yeah.
And I've met really good people through it as well. And I would say my friend James has gone to university now, and he's met a group of people he likes through doing that. But one of the things I'm running a campaign at the moment, and I really enjoy writing the story, building the characters, and
when you say you write the story and build the characters, how does that work?
So you've got to imagine the campaign. You've got to describe to the players. You try to create some immersion, get them involved, get them committed into the storyline, whatever the task is, the quest is, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Try to build through imagination a world that you're in, and then all the other bits, you know, going into a dungeon and slaying a monster or whatever, is all part of a bigger storyline, a bigger arc. And there's also not just the main story arc, but there's also the characters themselves. The people playing around the table will come with their own story. One of the things I always insist on as a DM is they come with a backstory for their character. It isn't just and so there is a creative bit there. Often when I'm playing in someone else's campaign, I'll actually design the character. Then I'll go online and use a tool to 3D to sort of design them. Mm-hmm. Realise my imagination, and then I'll get a 3D printed thing, and I'll paint them up and stuff, because I just want to create that view image of them, you know. And there's some great tools out there now that which there never were 30 years ago to
be able to do that,
to sort of bring your vision into reality, sort of thing. So especially now with 3D printers and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like you're taking your theatrical skills and applying them to this hobby.
Do you know what? In some ways, because I never thought of it that way, but writing a campaign that's fun and interesting, and not just you go to this cave and you kill this dragon or whatever, and the characters and the play and that sort of thing, and the role play, which is sort of acting, you know. I'm not saying I'm an actor at all, but I can't help but do the voices and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And take on the persona. And I'm not saying I'm the best at it or whatever, but I really enjoy it, and I've got some really great experiences doing it. And as I say, I was around the table last night with other friends, and we were having a great laugh, and our characters are called by the characters' names, not by our names. You know?
No, it does sound like it's quite fun, and the opportunities to do that as an adult is can feel quite rare.
I think during COVID, it came back in a lot because it was something you could do with people online, because the tools are online to do that now. So you know, like like we talked about Zoom calls and things like that. It was literally because there are tools on the computer to actually move things through that world sort of thing, and you can create the visuals. So I spend a lot of time. There's maps and things you can get online, but then I end up getting out Photoshop and making them mine. So I like to create a certain view. I think on my in my campaigns, rarely do you go on the same map twice. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not here's a forest road. No, it's different every time. It's full of different things. You know. So.
Yeah. No, it does sound quite good.
It's weird because it's the sort of thing I don't really want to talk about because I'm still with the old school where you didn't talk about it when you were a kid.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Because
of course,
it was
being
a stigma.
Because that got cemented when you were younger that being a geek is bad. That word geek is probably is kind of, I don't even know if that's really used anymore. But even I remember being at school and being called. I was very much into comics, superhero comics when I was at school, and I was rare to be into comics.
I think so.
And taking the mickey out of for it, whereas now. The popularity of comics are huge, and it'd be rare to not be into comics now.
And I think there's also, although I think it goes back to the geeky thing, but there's also an element of accessible because if you look at all the Marvel and DC films and things like that are so popular in the mainstream, they come from comics.
Yes,
yeah. They are literally lifted. The stories are lifted off those comics, etc. So if you want more, that's where you have to go, you know?
I think there's something to be said about, you're making me think now about how being different has now become mainstream, and it shows how being different is often, it shows how that can be the right way to go.
Yeah, I think, I used to be embarrassed that I did D&D. And then I realised now that actually, what I do with my time is up to me, but it's actually, we're doing really creative things, really enjoying ourselves, and a really good laugh with people. What's wrong with people sitting around and having a good laugh and telling a story? That's a collaborative effort, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of there, is there?
No.
When you assess it like that, there is absolutely nothing. And in fact, some people would wish for that. Some people would be thinking.
Rarely do I find that we've introduced, or it's not something we try to do, but we've introduced someone to it, and they've not enjoyed themselves. Yeah, and maybe it's the sort of people we choose to do that with, an element of that. But my friend Richard was really, really pleased that he actually in a party with his son and his daughter as well, and we all play. Sort of thing. So it's something he can spend time with them in that world, and he's got a character they call, and they don't call him Dad, they call him the character's name and that sort of stuff. And it's just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time it's just having a laugh, you know.
Yeah, but that's really good for that family to be able to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And have that in common. So another outlet. I used to, as a kid, I used to like painting the models and things, you know. And I say painting the models is you'd be shocked at how good some people are at painting. Now that I've got the time, but I've got the money to be able to do it. Because buying all the paintings and things, my eyes aren't good enough anymore. It's a young person's game. But I'm always full of admiration that people create these from just a simple model to have the level of artistry, you know. I really like seeing that. So I have gone myself, but I don't think I've done it for a few years. But it's something I wish I could do. I wish I could have that artistic stream sort of thing.
So summarising the different things that we've discussed today: your theatrical life, your beach art, your Dungeons and Dragons. I think that sitting here, I've spoken to a creative person.
I think I said to you, what we should call my episode, The Imposter. I don't consider myself a creative person.
No.
I do a lot of things that are creative, though. I think you're right. And I love being part of the creative process, especially around theatre. And and as I say, my relationships and friendships and things in life are so much better for
having these
being
elements.
working in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone that also feels an imposter, that also feels that they're not a creative, but would like to get involved with this kind of world?
Well, I think going back to what I said earlier on, that we're putting on a show and how complex it is. You don't all have to be a director or a writer to enjoy the creative process, to be in on it. Those people who are that way, they need help. And I don't just mean you're here to lug stuff around. You know, you can have a genuine role where you feel like you're contributing, especially if like we've both got friends who are lighting designers and sound design, that sort of thing, and the set, or even just being part of making the magic of the night happen. Yeah, there's opportunities there where you don't have to be the main creative, or you just contribute in the way that you can, and you'll still get that buzz. When a show goes down, I've been stage managing, at the end of the show, and it all went well, and sort of the punter's music's back on, the lights have come back up, that's the adrenaline rush that I normally get through doing the show. It's just incredible, you know. There's something for you there, even if you're not going to act, or write, or direct.
Yeah, and that's something I think we would both say where the potential could be joy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely is. I think back to different shows I've done, and it is just a joy occasion.
And if someone was seeking more than that, because often you think, oh, joy, that's a bit, it's a bit wishy-washy or whatever, but you've also demonstrated today and shown us about the technical skills that you've taken from this world.
Yeah, and you don't have to come away being a full-on lighting designer, etc. You'll learn enough to contribute, or enough that makes a difference, and that you can actually feel like you can contribute to the show, or to. I think, as I say, I get a real buzz running a show, and I think back at those memories you've made with that team of people, and you created something. You did. You were part of that team. I never claimed the show, but I'm part of it. I created something, and as a result, I think my life richer, and I wouldn't change anything. Now, despite being a kid who didn't like drama, and probably drama for the wrong reasons,
is now fully embraced in their life.
Yeah, and as you know, I think we're all really passionate about this building. It's our one. For me, it's my one little bit that I'm continually trying to do, because I'm not doing as many shows as I used to, or hardly any now compared. But I still want to contribute to making this place be available for others to do it.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on. I was always a bit
talking to me this morning.
Me rabbiting on for an hour or so.
No, I'm sure there's some words of wisdom within there somewhere.
Yeah, I should have practiced on those first.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I'm truly grateful to my guests for joining me today and sharing. If you would like to find out more about my guests, you can do so in the description below. And as always, I'm grateful to you, the listener and the watcher. And so, as we continue on this journey of creative exploration together on the BTS Creative Academy Podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe.